I apologize for any inappropriate messages sent over the years. This is from the Daily Beast, said Ali Alexander, ally of President Trump, and white nationalist Nick Fuentes. He was a big Stop the Steal guy. He has been, some consider one of the most ubiquitous figures in the MAGA movement. Alexander said in a statement issued Friday night that addressed the allegations in broad terms, he said, "This is too gay." He has described himself as bisexual in the past, added that he's battling with same-sex attraction. Apparently, he targeted, 15-year-old kids who were interested in the conservative movement, asked for solicited pictures of these boys' pay-pays, as it were. I apologize for any inappropriate messages sent over the year, Alexander wrote, adding later, "When I flirted with others or others have flirted with me, I flexed my credentials or dropped my corny pickup lines. Other times I've been careless and should have qualified those coming up to me's identity during flirtatious banter at the start." In other words, he was basically like selling access to Milo Yiannopoulos. Daily Beast writes, rumors about Alexander's alleged sexual behavior toward younger men have circulated in conservative online circles since at least 2015, but they reached a new level last month after Milo Yiannopoulos turned on Alexander after Alexander and Fuentes pushed him out of a potentially lucrative position in Kanye West's nascent presidential campaign, which also fell apart. Very little honor amongst thieves. Do we have the first image that Milo Yiannopoulos? These are screenshots of Snapchat messages. The Ollie files, he calls it. Number 7, Nicholas, 15 years old. Nicholas, and quotes, Nicholas was 15 when Ali Alexander asked him for sexually explicit photographs in which he referred to as jack-off material. When asked him to lie to his parents so they meet for sex, offered to buy him alcohol and threatened to make his family go W2F if Nicholas ever spoke out. Can you zoom in on those? No, I guess you can't, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to see maybe if I zoom in on here, it could be a little.
Yeah, we can't read those, but you can imagine what some of the things. Ali Alexander received funding from the billionaire conservative donor Robert Mercer, and has had faced a lot of questions about how he spent that money. He also approached a 15-year-old boy in Colorado. Ali says, "Send me a snap." I guess you can actually take screenshots of Snapchats. Is that right?
Yeah.
I could never figure out how Snapchat worked. I tried to follow Milo when she was on it, and I couldn't even like spy on her. I didn't know how to do it. The interesting thing is that Ali Alexander is a compatriot of Nick Fuentes. And one of the guys that Ali Alexander was targeting, this guy Duncan, who's now 21 and has become a relatively high-profile member of Fuentes' racist America First movement, going by the name Smiley. They were all on Richard Spencer's podcast. He's the famous white supremacist. Most famous, I think, for getting punched in the face and dropping quite hard. Duncan said he believed Fuentes knew about the rumors about Alexander's alleged solicitation of nude photos. "I think Nick is 100% aware," Duncan said on the podcast. I would bet, if I was a betting person, that Nick is 100% aware of Ali Alexander's sexual orientation and also of his trying to procure pictures of that ilk. Duncan wrote, when I was 15, I was naive and desperate. I thought I had no choice but to cooperate with inappropriate and humiliating requests if I wanted to make it in politics. I figured that was just the nature of the game. Can't blame a 15-year-old for that. But apparently, this is interesting. Johnston, this is another guy, Lance Johnston, who was 17 years old in the summer of 2019. Alexander started to engage in the same behavior, trying to solicit eggplant emojis.
This one here, it says, "Show me your eggplant emoji." He responds, "What's that?" And Ali supposedly goes, "OMG, dick."
Yeah. He blocked Alexander, took a screenshot of the exchange, was fearful of raising the issue on the far right because there's a lot of this stuff that obviously goes on. You don't want to get Matt schlapped. Isn't that what yeah.
Exactly.
Then Johnston's friend publicized the screenshot. Alexander said, I can have any conversation I want with someone who's 17. And that's when they all achieved fame. Johnston said that Fuentes asked him to say in a text message to Alexander that the screenshot had been doctored and apologize. Presumably that text message could then itself be screenshotted and used to discredit Johnson. Nick personally asked me to apologize to Ollie for supposedly faking the messages. Fuentes denied Johnson's claim about him in an email to the Daily Beast. I never offered Lance Johnson a job, nor did I urge him to disavow that screenshot. Well, I think Nick Fuentes is a liar. That's what I think. This is just my opinion. Yiannopoulos wrote in a January text to Fuentes, Alexander wants to come to your events to have sex with underage boys. Snap out of it. Fuentes said he disavowed Alexander's actions and called them gross, but accused Yiannopoulos of sitting on the claims until he could use them to get revenge on his rivals from the West campaign. Fuentes also blamed Duncan and Johnson for flirting with Alexander to advance their careers. It is possible that this 15-year-old and 14-year-old and 17-year-old flirted with a 30-something-odd-year-old man. I don't know if that's the case, but it still seems rather inappropriate for a 30-year-old man to be targeting these people.
To be making the overtures? Yeah, I think so too.
Fuentes added that the real victim in this entire saga is me, Fuentes said. Self-pitying post, he referred to himself as an incel, internet slang for involuntarily celibate. Seems like everybody got what they wanted except me. The incel is now somehow being blamed for things I had nothing to do with. I don't think Fuentes could be an incel right now. But my understanding is that that's not always been the case. I think Fuentes probably does not want to be identified as being not straight, and so chooses to identify himself as an incel. And he could very well, as Ali Alexander is saying, that he's been trying to stifle same-sex attraction. That could be something that's going on there with Nick Fuentes. So it's conceivable he's an incel right now. That doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't have a relationship with at least one other person who's of the same sex. Now, I don't take outing people lightly. Although I sort of feel like if you're going to attack people for being gay, which he has, it's broadly said that, homosexuals should also go by the way of Jews. That it's more than hypocritical if you have identified yourself or been in a same-sex relationship. I would say that would be incredibly hypocritical. But sometimes people hold on to evidence and stuff like that, and deploy it like he's claiming Yiannopoulos did when it really benefits them, or when they think that it could do the most damage.
Right.
And when those opportunities arise, then those people deploy the documents or the evidence that they have. It doesn't necessarily have to be documented evidence. It could be screenshots of letters written to other people and gifts and photographs of people together. I'm just saying, based upon this story, we know that people do that. He's claiming Yiannopoulos did that. He deployed it just when it was advantageous to Yiannopoulos and could do the most damage to Ali Alexander. That could happen to anybody at any time if there's substantial truth to it. So,
but then this also always, we always say this too, but of course it only is another arrow in the quiver of the, who are the groomers really, right? Who are the
well,
real
no,
groomers?
I'm this is not necessarily if two people are the same age, it's not grooming.
Well,
With Ali Alexander, yeah,
with Ali, not with finance.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
Milo.
I mean, there's a lot of projection in this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty. It's almost trite. The idea that some of the biggest homophobes are in fact fighting or are actively gay or something like that, like their own self-loathing they project out.
Yes, right.
And certainly in earlier eras where it was really hard to come out because of parents would disown you, your friends would disown you, that you would get mocked. It was actually a physical danger. A lot of things that frankly like transgender people face now, gay people faced in the past. I would imagine for some people fighting their own personal demons, it's even that much harder. Or if their political career or whatever their career or they perceive their career to be would be in some way inhibited by, the revelation that they were gay, it would be, problematic. But what do you think about Nazis? There was also there's been a lot of research suggesting that, some of the Nazi leadership was, were closeted at least. And, they were one of the ways that you get people off the scent of maybe whatever, and the way you hide from your own sort of feelings that you're somehow doing something wrong or illicit or transgressive is you demonize other people. But who knows? All right, let's do some IMs. People, like I say, they will deploy that stuff when it's really the opportune time. Sometimes that time doesn't come for a while. Based upon what I'm reading about Yiannopoulos in this piece.